I'm Mark Green, and I'll take you on an unbelievable ride meeting inspiring automotive enthusiasts. These are the movers and shakers, industry leaders, racers, builders, and the drivers in the automotive industry and car culture. I'll reveal their passions for automobiles and much, much more in their career choices and their personal journeys. Together, we'll unveil their triumphs and tragedies, successes and failures, and drive deep into their lives as they share their stories. You get to ride along with me on the inspirational journey, and together, we'll put the pedal to the metal here on Cars Yeah! Today, I'm taking you on an incredible adventure. I'm in one of my favorite places in Scotts Valley, California. We're gonna see collector cars, race cars, motorcycles, hot rods. This place is absolutely incredible, and you're gonna get to go inside. Let's go. Good morning, I'm Mark. You must be Lily.
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you.
It's so good to see you. I'm here to see Bruce.
Let me give him a call. Why don't you have a look around?
Absolutely. Hey, Bruce. How you doing?
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am so happy to be here today because we're going to take the Cars Yeah viewers on a little trip through Canepa. Learn about what you're doing here, all the cars. I want to start in the showroom though because I brought my checkbook. There's always something to buy here, right?
Exactly.
And then we're going to go to the other parts of your business and share all the incredible stuff you do here, okay?
We can do that.
I think we can. All right.
All right.
Let's go, but I don't want to leave this car.
Mark, you have to get out of the car if you're going to see the other cars.
I know, but it's a 64 Shelby Cobra. I don't want to get out. So Bruce, what I love about coming to your showroom is you have a huge variety of vehicles for car nuts like me to enjoy. Hot rods, motorcycles, race cars, sports cars. Why so many different cars?
Well, I grew up liking everything. And of course, as you know, I have a huge passion for Porsche. But I like hot rods. I love race cars. I mean, we buy a car because I like it or love it. And then hopefully there's a customer that wants it as much as I like it. So
Absolutely.
That's how we do this.
Well, we're gonna walk around the showroom and show the viewers some of the different rides that you have here. And I wanna start with the hot rods, and then we'll get into the Porsches and the race cars. And then after that, I wanna go out in the shop to show people the kind of restoration work you guys do,
Yeah,
all right?
And that's the fun part.
That's the fun part.
It
So
really
let's
is.
start with some hot rods, okay?
Okay.
Right over here. So Bruce, when I had you on my podcast, you talked about your first hot rod, a 36 3-window. You told me a great story and about that car being found much later, but that's something that's still part of your heart, right? You love hot rods.
No, I love hot rods. They're American. They're only American, basically. Everybody else tries to copy it in the rest of the world. It was the first car you built. It's the first car you had enough money to throw a big motor in, and really it was an engine on a frame with a body around you, and that was all there was to it.
Yeah, you've got two 32s here that are spectacular. Tell me a little bit about these cars.
Well, and they're both pretty incredible because this 32 Roadster is a newly built car, and this was built by Pete Shapours before he passed away, SoCal
yeah.
Speed Shop. So, and this was one of their last builds. He built it for a customer of his, and you know, it's cool. It's got the big Hemi in it, 392 Hemi. It's got a 5-speed gearbox in it. It's a real hot rod. It's got horsepower, and it spins tires. and that's a new build that he did towards the end. Yep. And you know, nobody was better at this than Pete, at building hot rods and having vision and how they should look. And then this hot rod, this sedan, is a period hot rod. This was a hot rod that George Barris, his brother, was involved in, and somebody found it and restored it. A guy out of Oregon that I know got this car and completely restored it. It's got an old rocket engine in it, and this is a very basic old hot rod. You know, drum brakes and probably a pretty rough ride, everything. But this is what hot rods were. Chop top, 4 inches, 4.5 inches of chop on a 2-door sedan. That's as honest as it gets right there.
Exactly, and somebody could come in and buy both cars and have the convertible and the chop roaster. I mean, this is great. Pete was a guest on my podcast before we lost him. I'm so fortunate that I got to spend some time with him. Awesome guy, history, but the cars in here have incredible history, and you also have motorcycles.
Yeah.
So let's go look at, there's one over here I really want you to show me.
Okay, we can do that.
We'll go check it out.
All right.
I know you love bikes, and this fat boy, Harley Davidson, has a special place in your heart because you did some design work for Harley, right?
I did. When they came out with the Sturgis and that Dynaglide frame, I took one of those and completely customized it, and took it to Bike Week, and it wasn't very long when I had all of the Davidsons, Michael and Bill, looking at the bike because it was so different from all the stuff that was there. And then that led into doing other small products and designs and ideas, and then I just started building Harleys kind of one after another. After that, I did about 7 of them, all custom, including this Fat Boy. So
now, Fat Boy, tell our viewers why it's called a Fat Boy.
Because it's fat. I mean, it had a fat tank, it had a fat front end on it, it had a fat fender, it had fat wheels and tires.
Yep. Yep.
That's not a bike that looks like it was on a diet.
No, not like me these days. So I got to work on that. Well, bikes I know have a place in your heart. And there's some really cool bikes around here. I mean, there's a Ducati over there and all sorts of neat stuff. But you know what I love, and I know what you love, because we're both vintage racers, race cars. And there's a lister over here that is very special that I want you to share with our viewers, okay?
Fantastic.
Let's go.
All right.
So Bruce, when I hear the word Canepa, I think vintage racing. You've been racing cars forever, since before you were vintage. Now you're a little vintage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that you get out on the track and actually enjoy these cars is incredible. And there's a car in this showroom that anybody could come in here and buy right now that's a 59 Lister Coston. Very special car. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Lister originally built, cars, and they were knobbly. They called them knobblies, and they had a bulkier looking body. And then a guy named Frank Coston, who was in the aircraft industry, he designed this body for the car. It became the Lister Coston. And this happens to be the first Lister Coston.
Wow.
And it ran at Goodwood in 1959 in this livery, just like this, #1, and this dark red color and stuff. And this car's got a great history. It's had a number of very well-known owners. It's had very successful vintage race history. We got the car and we re-restored it, sold it to one of our customers, and now he's moved on to another vintage race car. But that's what this is all about, is to get to experience all these different kinds of old race cars.
Right, exactly.
And that's the fun. I love, climbing from one to the other and driving different race cars and learning how they work and how they operate, and see if you can get some sense of control over them without doing something wrong.
Some sense of control. I like the way you say that, because it's a lot. Driving these cars is so different. Now, a good friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, Bruce McCall, used to have this car, right?
He did.
And VRM, they produce and put cars together and race cars out of that shop. I'm building them
very successfully.
Yeah, for over 20 years. So I love the fact these cars go through all these different hands, but you somehow end up with the best ones over and over again, don't you?
Well, it's we won't compromise much here. So
no, exactly right.
That's what it gets down to.
Exactly right. Well, before we go to the next segment of the show, which I want to take our viewers out to your shop, the other thing you have in here, which I love, are sports cars. I'm a Porsche guy like you, so let's go look at one of the Porsches over here that I've got my eye on, all right?
Sounds good.
Okay. You and I are Porsche guys. We love Porsches, and every time I come here, your showroom is full of very cool Porsches. From old 911s to 356s, a Monte Carlo car. What's the yellow one all about?
Now that's a 964 Turbo S light valve. They built 80 some of these cars. They're obviously extremely rare. This one was one owner almost its entire life. It's got a couple thousand total miles on it. That's it.
It's almost a shame, isn't it?
It's a new car. Yeah, it is a shame. Somebody needs to drive it.
Yes.
But this was an incredible era at Porsche. This is an air-cooled era, very lightweight cars, great sound, lots of power. So it's one of those really, really bucket list Porsches for collectors.
Yeah.
It's because it does everything really well.
993, one of my favorites, a turbo in this case.
The last of the air-cooled great cars.
Yeah, I had one of those. An old 911 up here.
Yeah, 67S, which was
the
the
Holy
beginning
Grail.
of the great cars.
Yeah, the beginning. GT3 RS, a wonderful car for the track and for the street. And what's the black Porsche back here?
That's another one of those rare cars. They built 55 of the RS 3.8. So that's similar to the light valve, but that's a normally aspirated car. So it's a 300 horsepower car without a turbocharger, and just as rare and valuable as the other cars. There's so few of them in the world.
Oh, it's fantastic. But back in the corner here, I saw a red car, a Speedster-esque convertible Porsche that...
Hot rod.
Hot rod. Let's go talk about that, all right?
That's right.
All right. What I love about you, Bruce, is not only do you care about authenticity with cars you restore, making them perfect, but you also don't mind messing with cars a little bit, right? This 89 Speedster started as a pretty docile, mundane car. It is far from that right now. Tell me the story behind this.
We had a customer in Las Vegas, and one of the casino owners, and he had a lot of cars, and he bought a Porsche. Mostly he was a Ferrari guy, and I had done AMG cars for him, and he bought a brand new 89 Speedster, this car. And at 100 miles, he decided it was boring, didn't have enough power. You know, the chassis was too flexy, because it was. I mean, it was a turbo body car made into a Speedster. They cut the roof off, that took all the strength out of it, so it was flexy. So he basically asked me what we could do with it, and here you go. We put a 962 Porsche motor in it.
A 962. Now, you told me earlier that was a dear departed friend of ours, Bruce Levins.
Bruce Levins.
Yeah.
I drove HR2, which was one of Bruce's cars, and this was the spare engine basically after the 24-hour Daytona. It was a worn-out engine, so we rebuilt that engine into a twin turbo for the street, the 750 horse. We put 935 suspension on all four corners, 934 original bodywork with the flares and the front spoiler. We took the whole tub and engineered all the platforms in it and reinforced all the tub, took all the flex out of the car, so it really handles amazing. It's in a low 11-second street car.
Oh, wow.
It's 200 mile an hour we went in the car, you know, with the top down. You wouldn't dare try. You could rip the top right off. You try to do it with the top up.
Right.
And it's got air conditioning and a heater, but it's a hot rod. I mean, to me, hot rods are anything you modify. So this is a Porsche hot rod.
So it goes back to your roots where we started with hot rods, but you're still doing it today. That's what I love about you. And speaking of modifying cars, restoring cars, next I want to go out into your shop because that's where the real magic happens, right?
We can do that.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
So Bruce, I would like you to walk me through all the different aspects of if I bring a car to you, everything from a detail to a full-blown restoration. And when we're done kind of walking through the different departments, we're going to talk about the 959s. But real briefly here, before we take a walk around, what are all the things that you can do for me to take care of my special car?
In this shop, we do all the mechanical work in-house. We do all metal shaping in-house, all fabrication, all machining, all paint, all body work, all upholstery, and detailing. And you talk about detailing because you mentioned it a couple times.
Yep.
The car can't come in the shop dirty. Most people don't clean the car till it leaves.
Right.
Nothing comes in this shop dirty. It's got to be cleaned before it comes to the shop, then we'll work on it.
There you go.
It just allows us to manage the whole project the way it should be for a customer. So they get it all done in one package. I'm the last guy to drive a car here, every car. When the guys say we're all done, I drive that car during the day. I'll go drive it for 30 minutes or whatever, or every night I take something home that needs driven. Every night there's a car ready to go, and I'll go see and I'll listen for the rattles, the squeaks. Are the headlights adjusted? Is it aligned properly? Is it stopped straight? Because I'm sensitive to all those things.
Sure.
I mean, I'm OCD, I guess, right?
A little bit, yeah. You're a picky guy.
But that's what it is.
That's part of the Canepa magic.
And we can't do that. You know, I don't know how anybody can do that without having at least being able to do it all in-house and control it all in one place.
Yeah. Well, I notice every time I come in here, you can eat off the floor.
Yeah, well,
and it's a magic shop. So we're going to look at some cars that are in the body shop, and then we're going to go talk about the 959s. And there's one car we're going to pull out, liquid metal paint.
All right.
Let's go, okay?
All right.
This car caught my eye because you know I like orange cars. I've got an orange Porsche, but this is no ordinary Porsche. And I understand it belongs to some guy named Jerry. I think some of our viewers may be aware of who Jerry is, Porsches, and a TV show called Seinfeld. What's going on with this build?
This is a 934, which Porsche built these in 1976. They built 30 some of them. this was really the first turbo race car. And it was homologated. It was still fairly similar to a street car. It had door panels and door boxes and power windows in it,
Wow.
but it was a race car. And they raced these cars at Le Mans, Daytona, and everywhere else. We have taken several of these cars that had remained original. This had probably a 10 race history, but remained original. We've taken 2 of these already and made them into road cars. And Jerry was excited that we'd done that and missed one that I did and said, go find one. We found this car in Greece.
In Greece?
In Greece. And this is the original color, Continental Orange. It was the only one painted orange.
Wow.
It's almost all original. It's got patina, it's got nicks and bruises, but it's original car.
Right.
And then now we have disassembled it, and we've gone through every system. We've rebuilt the control arms, the brakes, the fuel hoses, the oil lines, the coolers. You know, we're making it all back to mechanically like brand new, all in original specification. We did take the wheels and take them apart and change the rim half so we could put radial tires, so he has street tires.
Nice.
We upgrade the brake pads, we upgrade things like the turbo so it doesn't have lag and stuff, but this car is going to have a driver's seat, a passenger seat, and he's going to drive it down the road. You'll see it on one of his shows, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And everybody should have a 500 horsepower Outlaw turbo, right?
Absolutely.
The factory built.
Jerry, your car's in good hands here. But what I love about you is not only you find cars in Greece and build them for celebrities and high-end stuff, but you also do regular stuff that a guy like me would be driving around in, like this little 914 that's going to Dubai. Tell me about this car.
Well, you know, first of all, it is no ordinary 914. It's a 914-6.
Ooh.
So.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, 914-6 is 911 motor 914, so
Right.
these were really quite the car in the day. I mean, they were inexpensive 911 basically.
Right.
And this car, you know, it's been restored now. We're finishing all the details, and then it's getting shipped off to Dubai to a new customer, basically.
So your clientele's all over the world.
It's all over the world.
All over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really
Yeah.
cool. So Bruce, auto body work. There's regular old auto body work, and then there's the level that you bring these cars up to. I mean, you do everything. The cars behind us, there's Porsche's 959s, a Daytona over in the corner.
Yeah, there's two 959s. There's a Dino in there, one owner Dino.
Right.
All ground up restorations.
Right.
And a Cadillac Eldorado. We're making a lowrider, and we're building the lowrider, the whole design, everything.
Wow.
I say, I'm
Very cool.
gonna really upset the lowrider guys when they see what we're doing with this thing.
Yeah, you just set the bar a lot higher.
Yeah.
So you do everything here, right? I mean, all
Everything.
the paint,
Yeah.
prep, everything. And I noticed over in the paint booth here, something kind of special. What you got hiding in there?
That's a Koenigsegg.
And you're putting your Canepa touch on that too, right?
We are.
You are.
Yeah, we try to do that on everything.
Well, I'm going to go take a peek at this car, and then we're going to go. I keep promising the 959s. We got to get to those, okay?
All right, very
All
good.
right, let's go take a peek. Okay, now we're in a very special place. The 959 Porsche. You're the guy that made it possible for people to own and drive one of these in the United States. This is an SC with a very special paint job on it. But first, let's go back in time a little bit. Tell me about why the 959 couldn't be imported, how you got it into the States, and why we're sitting here looking at 4 or 5 of these in your shop today.
Well, you know, first of all, it's a car that was never crash tested or emissions certified for the United States, like most cars are. Mm-hmm. And Porsche had made a decision not to do that. They only built 290 some cars approximately, and it made no sense to go through all that process for the U.S. They had more than enough cars sold without doing that anyway, and it was too expensive a car to build. I mean, they were basically hand building these cars, and it was an R&D exercise. This car was developed to determine if there was a future for the 911, or the 911 would have ended in the 80s. And Helmut Bott and Peter Schutz said, okay, what is the 911 capable of? And this car was all-wheel drive, twin turbo, 6-speed transmission. It was everything they could imagine to show if there was a future, and here we are 35 years later with the 911, okay?
And it looks like a car that could be sold today.
Probably the most timeless Porsche ever built, because nobody can believe this is 30 years old we're looking at right here, not in the design, the shape, how it drives, anything. Now that these cars are 30 plus years old, we started a project called the 959 SC. And the goal was to find, you know, the cars now, things time out in cars. You know, the HVAC systems start being less efficient, and hoses crack, and seals go, and things leak, and you know, the paint's starting to go away. Even if you preserve a car, it's aging, okay?
Right.
And we decided, and we've been doing development on these cars since '87. We were the first ones to have them in the country, and we went through the process to get them legalized and figure all that out. So we really had a lot of deep experience with this car and what it was. So now we're at a point where there aren't brand new ones to sell customers that need nothing. They need lots of things.
Right.
So we started this program, and we buy donors. We buy very original cars. There's 3 or 4 of them here, and we disassemble them down to a complete bare body and rebuild the whole car brand new again. And in the course of that, we do dramatic upgrades. These cars were 450 horsepower new. Now we're at 800 horsepower.
800.
Yes, and 600 foot-pounds of torque.
Oh my gosh.
But it's also got tremendous utility. You could drive this car for 10 hours and it's comfortable. You got room for luggage, you got visibility. I tell guys, it's the ultimate 911.
Now the paint. This paint, it glows. It like jumps in your face. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. What's going on with the paint?
This is liquid metal. So liquid metal was a Porsche option on the 918.
Oh, the newer car.
The new
right.
car.
Yeah, the hybrid.
And it's a entirely new paint technology and extremely difficult. I mean, we spent 100 hours learning how to do this paint job.
Wow.
Learning.
Just
not painting the car.
Just learning.
And what we understood from everybody was it was an extremely labor-intensive process to do it. We know that because we ended up with a total of over 300 hours doing this paint job. It required a base color, and then it required the silver, which was very transparent, and then clearing that, and then 10 coats in 2 stages of liquid metal, which looks kind of like mercury in a bottle, and that's how it looks on the car.
Right.
And then the final coats of clear. So it's a 19 coat process done in 4 separate stages to get here. And
wow.
And the result is awesome.
It looks like you could just reach into it and just grab it like mercury.
You almost can.
You almost
if it weren't
can.
dry, you could.
And this beautiful green leather, special color you prepared for the car.
We're doing leathers. We're making colors and then sending them to our leather suppliers and seeing what they can match and stuff. So we're doing one-off leathers in every car. Every customer's car will be an individual car.
Wow.
You know, if there's 2 white cars, they won't have the same interior, right? So that's how we're doing it, so that everybody's got their own separate car.
Well, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Next time on Cars Yeah.